All right, let's get into my topic. I want to talk about me and my buddies went out and ate Thai food last night. It was probably a bad idea after being sick all week, but hey, what are you gonna do? And we were talking about um, just role playing games in general, tabletop role playing games to be more specific. And this always comes up in like chats for the online games we play and stuff. People always talk about, oh, I love this game. I love this game. I'm a big fan of this. I play this. Blah blah blah. I don't like this system. I wish this was like this, etc., etc. So we were kind of talking about some of the games like we'd heard of and thought sounded interesting or never got a chance to play that it seems like everyone talks about. So I kind of just wanted to have like ask you guys what you thought. Might be like some of the games that you've heard people talk about are very well received and everyone loves them, but you've never got like really a chance to play them or maybe even read through them or look into the mechanics or stuff. Like what's some stuff you guys would want to potentially try out?
Starfinder. Always and
Starfinder.
forever, Starfinder.
That's at the top of my list as well.
Okay, well what's one you know nothing about?
Screw you, Obs.
What's one you know nothing about that you want to like get your hands on the book and read? We can't play Starfinder for another month because one of our players like went out of town for a little bit.
Good.
Yeah, no.
My problem is that whenever I'm interested in something, I just go ahead and pick up the book. Like my rule book library is so huge. So.
All right, well, what's one other than Starfinder for Tetsuo that you maybe want to like read into?
So I want to go with two because they're in vain. They're just different companies, and that's Heavy Gear and BattleTech.
All right, I know a little bit about BattleTech, but I know nothing about Heavy Gear.
Heavy Gear is similar. The narrative is different, but essentially it's another one of the miniature war games where you're playing giant robots shooting at other giant robots. Goes the mecha games. Who's surprised? But both have RPGs that, while they still have the mech aspect, it's usually focused more on the pilots. And the way that I see them played online is that people get together for the RPG portion, and then they use the miniature war game to play out the in the mech style. And I would love to play a campaign of either one of the two, playing a squad of mech pilots in that way.
Yeah, that's how BattleTech was described to me. One of my buddies used to play it a long time, like I think 10 or 15 or 20 years ago or so. And he loves it and has like the books, has a bunch of the minis. He even has like the Robotech ones or whatever.
That Robotech, and because there was a weird thing, and then they also made an Aerotech series for a while.
And you can kind of like do it because you basically it's like any mech RPG game probably it's going to be heavily like customized like what you want in your robot, so you can like play with any kind of rules, like just take the rules and do like any kind of thing that you wanted to with it basically.
And that's what the war games, with both of the war games in general, like you can buy the stock mechs or you can create your own. They give you like blank sheets and they tell you how to point out. Now it's very crunchy to create your own mechs, like they really get into it, and there's a lot of consideration that's gone into like points and stuff for balance. Heavy Gear is a little less crunchy, but it also has a little bit less options. You're also not worrying about things like generator output and heat generation that you do in BattleTech. Which, again, if you really want to get into it and you love like having to monitor 6 or 7 different systems while in the middle of a war game, you want to go BattleTech. If you want it a little more simpler, Heavy Gear would be the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
But both of their war games actually do stand alone. They're their own games. You don't have to do the RPG with them, or you can use them to represent the mech battles of the RPG. So those are two games I've always wanted to play for that reason.
Yeah, we were going to start a BattleTech campaign at one point. The setting seems really interesting too because you have like great houses and stuff that are on separate planets and all that good stuff. And
sure, if you're a dirty inner sphere.
I think that's what we were. He's like, because none of us knew anything about the settings, so he's like, I want to have y'all be like the low rung, like nobodies, who are on basically like the Ronin on like the scavenge planet or whatever. You don't serve anyone. You're kind of like all orphans, like piecing together your like mechs and stuff, and you got like a teacher and stuff that basically taught you how to fight.
That's very common.
Yeah.
Verse for you have these essentially PMCs that just pop up, because it kind of suffers a little bit too from the grandioseness that Warhammer 40K can suffer from.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you have all of these planets and all of these systems, and supposedly only so many ruling houses to rule all of them. So, of course, planets are going to fall through the cracks, and their own local PMC, militia, whatever, are going to rise up to defend them. So that happens a lot. In fact, there's a main plot point in it, Wolf's Dragoons, who were initially that and then became something big. Essentially think Totori's army, but a little bit with less plot implications.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of when you have war games, a lot of them nowadays are doing tabletop versions, like role-playing versions, like the War Machine one, which I played.
Yeah.
Which the fighting plays exactly like the war game, basically. So, and it's fun. It's fun to do combat in it and stuff. I don't actually like playing the game, like the war game, but it's fun to RP in the world and see like the super solo unit character guys and interact with them and like all that stuff. So those kind of games are always neat. I think that's like a really interesting design space. It's weird that the Warhammer games are very different and haven't like adapted to that model that I've seen happening.
Yeah, we played
you played
Death Watch once.
Yeah, very briefly.
It was okay, but RPG that was cobbled together to cash in on the success of the war game. That is straight up what it felt like. It wasn't necessarily bad, but
I played the Warhammer Fantasy one. The best part of it is that you roll your character randomly, kind of. It's like a fun, like, I don't care, I just want to, like, play something thing. Because you roll, like, your character's, like, mannerisms, his class, like, gender, how old they are, like, if they're ugly, like, deformities they have and stuff like that. It's kind of interesting.
Literally everything. Yeah,
kind of. It's, like, like, the best class you can get to start out with is, like, guy with the bow, or guy with, like, a spear. Like, I'm, like, a bridge watcher. Or you can get stuff like, I'm a rat catcher, so I might have, like, a little bit more immunity to, like, poison and disease because I'm around rats all the time. Or I'm, like, a fireman, so I make charcoal and stuff like that, or others. It's really interesting. All right. So, other than Starfinder, what is yours, Mel?
I'm not too sure. Like, for the most part, I've always stuck to like D&D type stuff. So I haven't played a lot of anything other than that. I've always really wanted to play in Shadowrun. I've played the video games, so.
Well, that's one that counts.
Right. Yeah, like Numenera always seemed cool. That new Montecook game. And then like some of the ones like based on other like the Firefly I always thought would have been interesting to play.
That's maybe a good one.
I've seen copies of that around, actually.
Yeah, I just rewatched all of Firefly the other day. So
there you go.
And then like I love Mass Effect, so that could be a cool RPG, but I'd want to run it. Like, the DM would have to be someone who really knows their Mass Effect, I would think.
Yeah, like, really knows the lore.
Yeah.
But I feel like it would have to be something that is more akin to Andromeda than the main trio as well.
I mean, yeah, there's a bunch of lore to take in that someone could make work, I'm sure.
Right.
You could probably do it with Starfinder. Like, make some stuff up, like some custom classes or stuff for it, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, there is already an RPG.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't even know that. What is it that appeals to you about Shadowrun? Is it just cyberpunk in general?
Yeah. Just basically the urban fantasy type stuff I love.
Mm-hmm. Have you watched what's it called yet?
No.
You haven't? The Netflix movie?
No.
It's basically supposed to be just Shadowrun the movie. from what I heard.
Right? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, Bright.
Yeah,
Okay.
I couldn't remember the name of it. I'm sorry. It has Will Smith. It was Max Landis. I've played a decent amount of Shadowrun. I like the game, but my enjoyment of it is going to be different than, cause I'm not like super into Cyberpunk really at all, and my enjoyment from the game was just because we were playing goofy characters that probably didn't really fit like the seriousness that the GM was going for, and he had to kind of deal with it.
Yeah, you've mentioned that before.
Yeah, so I don't know if I mentioned it on the podcast or not, but yeah, I don't think like disgraced NASCAR driver and like psychopathic former circus clown dwarf serial killer guy probably fit what most people think of Shadowrun, but they're probably more thinking like I'm like the cyber sleuth, like tech guy, or I want to be a street samurai and be like on the streets of Neo Tokyo or wherever. I can't remember what they call it or whatever, stuff like that.
Yokio? What?
Yeah, Neo Yokio. Or like the Juicer or whatever, Adepts, and if you played the Shadowrun games and you are familiar with all that terminology. Or just like the magic. The coolest thing about Shadowrun is actually making your character, because, I mean, I've only played the older edition. I don't know if it's like this in the new one at all, but you basically get a B, a C, a D, and an E.
It's still like that.
Yeah,
and video games are like that.
And if you want to be like a cool race, you have to put like your A stat into your race, or you can put in your attributes or your skills, I think, and your resources and your contacts. And it's always fun to come up with like the contacts and stuff like that. Were actually some of the more interesting parts.
My big thing about it is just how crunchy it is. Like I want to like it more than I do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as you say, I had a lot of fun building, because I did a play-by-post of it, and I didn't play for very long. Partially because, like, there was bits that I was okay with, but there's other bits where I was just like, I don't care about this bit on my character sheet, because it's just too much numbers, and I just want to... like, at some point, I feel like I'm looking at a list of numbers and not at a character, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of rules for the game, but... Yeah,
I love the setting. I love the idea of it.
Yeah, I'm not as super big in the setting. I just liked our goofy characters. But anyways, so I guess for me, I'm going to say everything always devolves into World of Darkness. Everyone always talks about it. Everyone's always played like one of the World of Darkness games usually. Like anytime you get in a group of people who tabletop game, and everybody starts talking about RPGs. I actually haven't played a lot of World of Darkness games. I've only played Werewolf and Mage. I have not played Vampire. Vampire is probably the biggest one that everyone always talks about. But
yeah,
I don't even really care to play it. There's two from World of Darkness that I always hear people talk about, and it's Changeling and Wraith. And when I always bring this up to my friends, they're always like, those games aren't that good. But I literally, and my tastes are pretty similar to my local group's taste. We generally like to roleplay the same stuff. And that's why we have kind of stuck together as a gaming group, and sometimes you'll have that in your local spheres, like people come in or leave or go their own ways. But we have a pretty solid core, 4 of us that roleplay, because we all like the same stuff. We all like to roleplay for the same reasons and stuff. So I haven't read anything about the books. I generally like White Wolf stuff, so I might like them more than they would, but I don't know what it is about them that people like, because from what I understand, Wraith is just all about being a ghost in the underworld. So I don't know what the appeal of it would be. If someone is listening and knows, please comment and let me know why Wraith is awesome. And Changeling is just about fairies, and it's really artsy fartsy and rules a lot. That's what I understand the people like it. I kind of want to read those books eventually.
Changeling is artsy fartsy, or it's all about emotional trauma. Those, I mean, and I know that World of Darkness is a lot about emotional trauma, but the whole point of Changeling is how traumatic can I make my kid? Like even like the light, very light fairy things are still like emo edgelord. Like it's kind of emo the game. Changeling is.
Gotcha. So maybe that's why people like it.
Yeah.
Like that would almost feel to me more like if people want to be like a bit grimdarky, which I can appreciate, as you well know if you've been listening to this podcast. I love my edgelords and I love some grimdarkness every once in a while. It feels like Vampire would more cover that a little bit because it's all like, I'm undead,
Yeah.
I'm like a political guy in the shadows and stuff.
So Changeling is. I'm a human being cast into a world that's similar but not.
Yeah, you were stolen away or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Almost to draw an L5R corollary, they're both similar in the sense that like Vampire is kind of like your Scorpion clan, whereas Changeling is your Crane clan. Like they're both still kind of that political quagmire of you need to know how to manipulate socially or else you're going to die. But the way that they feel and go about it are slightly different. Before it kind of fell apart as I was thinking it through. But,
No, I get what you're saying totally. The metaphor works. Yeah, another game which I think we talked about like, last week or a few weeks ago in passing is the WWF role-playing game that's really old that anytime I hear anyone talk about, they're always like, there was a WWF role-playing game from like the early 90s or something, and it was freaking cool as crap. And I just want to like find the books. I'm sure I could like find it on eBay or Amazon or something, but I just want to find the book and read it eventually. Just 'cause apparently like your XP is your fans, which totally makes sense for a wrestling game because theoretically they're going
to. You can lose experience points.
The kayfabe of you being like a more powerful wrestler is obviously going to happen if you have more fans. Or how's it work? Like if you're a heel and people don't like you, how do you get more powerful that way?
Well, these days everyone loves heels.
Yeah, exactly. Well, when you got like Roman Reigns and stuff that people don't like. I haven't watched wrestling in a while, so that might not be the case anymore. Mal can speak to that easier.
Was about it.
You got, I think it's like Roman Reigns and John Cena are your faces.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah. John Cena's practically always been a face.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns is new Cena, basically.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. It'd be interesting to like read through and see what they do. It would be fun for like a one shot to play, probably. So yeah, I just wanted to, yeah, just wanted to pick your guys' brain, see if there's any games that people talked about a lot. Because I always find it funny to see what people are interesting and not really funny to see what people like about games and like what they like about role playing, what they get out of it, what they look for in games and groups and stuff, and kind of like hear their stories and get sold on games because that's how you like find out about new stuff in general. So, all right, cool. Well, everybody, we're under an hour mark.
Oh,
this is one of the fastest episodes we've had in months. Just wait till you get only two of us on here, and then it'll be a real doozy, right?
We did that once.
Did we do only two people?
Yeah, just me and you.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, we did. No, but that was a longer episode, though, wasn't it?
Well, we were just talking about cards, I think.
Okay, yep, that's why it was so long. So we're going to hit this under an hour mark. This has been episode 40, Podcast of Five Rings, your source of enlightenment in the realm of video games, tabletop, anime, film, and tech. Each episode of Podcast of Five Rings releases Monday mornings on iTunes and SoundCloud, now topic by topic, day by day on YouTube, with the full video releasing on Friday. Catch us... Oh my god. I'm like botching this all the time at the end for some reason these past few weeks. Check us out on social media, twitter.com/podcast5r, facebook.com/p5r podcast. Check out Meta and Lily streaming. They've been playing Monster Hunter last night. They might play again sometime this week when you're listening to it. They're on twitch.tv/PSOflow. Till next time, guys, we will catch you later. Goodbye. Final Fantasy 15, best game.